A new DLC with Jurassic Park? Shit, fuck yeah, I'm in. Hey, what is up guys, it's Diego, and before we get into this, I just wanted to say that I hope you all had an amazing Christmas and a Happy New Year's. I know I'm really late to this, but technically this video was supposed to come out sooner, and it was actually supposed to be the first video of the decade, but I decided to push it off because I needed to work on another project, another video that I had been pushing off for like the last couple of months, so that one came out, and that one ended up being the first video of the decade. And if you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and leave a card up there, that way you can. It is the review of a Jurassic Park fan film that I took a look at, and I honestly think that that video is possibly one of the greatest videos on my channel because I worked really hard on that video. The editing's great, a lot of funny bits in there. Go check it out, it's a good video. But anyways, Frontier released this new DLC earlier last month on December 10th, giving us a taste of Jurassic Park in their Jurassic World oriented game. And all I can say is this has to be my favorite DLC they've released so far. At least as far as new content goes, but as far as story and missions, I had mixed feelings about it. Now I know I started a playthrough on this DLC and got through a few episodes, but because of some of the things that have been going on off camera, it's been very difficult to record in that form. So instead of giving you a full playthrough of poor quality videos, I figured I'd package a full synopsis / review of the game instead, along with showcasing all of the new cool added content that was released alongside with the DLC. So let's get started. The game revolves around the original group of characters from the first Jurassic Park and Cabot, who are all voiced by the same original characters, including Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum, all except of course Richard Attenborough, who played John Hammond in the original Jurassic Park. Rest in peace, Richard. The story itself seems to take place sometime after the events of the original Jurassic Park, and is centered around the only two islands we ever see in the franchise, Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna. The missions take place on these two islands as our original characters are attempting to help Hammond make his park suitable for the public, so an event like the one they themselves have experienced in the first film will never happen again. What I absolutely love about this story is the fact that it takes us back to Jurassic Park, completely immersing us to a new environment that has a real Jurassic Park feel to it. The fact that everything has a Jurassic Park aesthetic to it by making it look old-fashioned and in that Jurassic Park style helps that feeling even more. Sure, there are some flaws to this that do bug me, but we'll get into that in due time. The story is fairly simple and offers a completely unique narrative, and unlike the conversations that take place in the original campaign of the base game, the ones here are actually entertaining and one that you actually get invested in. I won't say too much about it because I want to avoid spoiling anything for you guys, not that there's much to spoil in the first place, especially at the time that this gets uploaded, but if I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the story, it's never been Jurassic World Evolution's strong suit. They've just never really done a good job in keeping us invested in what the characters are saying. Of course, in this DLC, it's kind of different because you kind of enjoy the narrative, you kind of enjoy the story that's happening in the background, mainly because you just really enjoy the dynamic and conversation that these characters have with one another in this DLC. But in general, it's just not something that Frontier really focuses too much on. Now, in regards to the gameplay, there's nothing too special. Yeah, in general, Jurassic World Evolution is a pretty simple game that's easy enough to complete with a few challenges here and there. And it's no different for the DLCs. So the gameplay for Return to Jurassic Park is nothing you haven't already done in the game. If anything, it's pretty repetitive at times, along with the fact that it starts off very slow. In the first few missions, you have to put Isla Nublar back online and contain the loose raptors. By the time you've got that completed, you move on to the next couple of missions, which take place on Isla Sorna, where you need to contain a bunch of loose Stegosaurus and use the visitor center to help you send expeditions out to get you more dinosaurs to hatch in your park. Also, can I just point out how useful I think this 3-in-1 combination with the visitor center is? I mean, my god, it is so much better than having to put down 3 individual buildings. We'll get more on that in a bit, but continuing the missions, once you've completed those few, you're all of a sudden back on Isla Nublar to do the next couple of missions. At this point, the park is pretty much back online with all the dinosaurs contained. So now your goal is to prep the park before opening it to the public. Eventually, you will get your park open for the guests, and when you do, you have to manage all of the usual things, including capacity, safety, food, drinks, dinosaur visibility, and so on. But there are a few new things here as well, including the missions you would typically get through the divisions in the original Jurassic World Evolution campaign. Instead of the Science, Security, and Entertainment divisions, we now have to take orders from Ellie Sattler, Dr. Alan Grant, John Hammond, Ian Malcolm, and Cabot Finch. And you also now have to take care of restroom management since Frontier has finally added restrooms to the game. And say what you want, but little things like this makes your park look more realistic, a look that a lot of people are trying to go for, so the addition of restrooms and restroom management seems very fitting for the park. Anyways, after you finally open your park, you now have to fill it with a bunch of dinosaurs, including large carnivores like the Spinosaurus and T-Rex, which is important because the T-Rex will be used in a later mission. Along with all of the new things that we need to put in our park, aviaries, pteranodons, and compsognathuses are also included. We finally, after 4 or 5 missions, get to the newest additions to the game, which have their flaws, but for the most part look pretty good. Kind of.
Wild raptors, alpha predators running free in the park.
And finally, on the last mission, the raptors are loose once again, and when you can't get your ranger teams to stop them from killing your guests, you resort to the oldest trick in the book, the release a T-Rex so it could kill the raptors trick. Well, you know what they say, fight fire with fire, I guess. Or in this case, fight dinosaurs with even bigger dinosaurs, cause that's a good idea. But it proves effective as the T-Rex successfully mauls and throws the raptors like they're fucking footballs. Now, of course, the gameplay itself is nothing too important compared to the real selling point of this DLC, which was all of the new added skins, decorations, buildings, and of course dinosaurs that we were given. So let's go ahead and start with the buildings since I have a lot to say about them, mainly the aviaries, and while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and say how I feel about the pteranodons as well, since they're the only creatures a part of this building. So before we get started with this, I want to give you all a fair warning, because I'm about to go on a tangent with this, because I want to emphasize on how ridiculously stupid I think the aviaries and pteranodons are. They are fucking useless. Not only are they not very cost efficient, they don't do anything for your park outside of adding a good aesthetic to it and upping the visibility rating. The actual pteranodons are fucking awful. The skins leave a lot to be desired, their animations are repetitive as fuck, and guess what they do when they break out? That. Yeah, that. Amazing content right there. Glad I got myself excited for something as ridiculous as this useless piece of shit creature. No, they don't even attack guests or each other. I mean, I can understand the fact that pteranodons obviously can't fight other dinosaurs, as that would look really weird and unrealistic, but the least Frontier could have done is actually do something with them. I don't even care about the fact that they fly away into space, but Frontier could have added like an attack animation towards people before eventually taking off. Hell, it would have even been hilarious if they took the people with them, but no, Frontier decided to be lazy about it and once again waste another opportunity for something that could have been really great. And for those of you that say Frontier took a realistic approach to this, who the fuck gives a shit about what's realistic in this game? People who praise shit like this most likely have a lack of imagination, especially if they can't even see the wasted potential of the pteranodon. We play games to escape reality, and I get it, this is a park management game, but a game nonetheless, so fucking take advantage of it. And it's not like I'm asking for some dumb shit like human pteranodon hybrids or Cenozoic creatures. I'm simply asking for an attack animation towards people and each other to actually give these animals some life. If anything, that's making them more realistic, because right now they might as well be statues because they are the most hollow, pointless, and lifeless things in this game. And while we're on the topic of pointless things, let's go ahead and take a look at the Velociraptor pen. Okay, as far as the overall look of the pen, it looks amazing. I have no issues with how it looks, especially since it's obvious Frontier put a lot of effort in making this look like the exact same pen from the original movie. But I wish I could say the same for the overall purpose of the entire thing. I don't know if you noticed this yet, but I'm not too fond of the idea of someone bringing something so memorable and nostalgic back into something modern for the sole purpose of capitalizing off of it. And I'm not naive, obviously Frontier has done this in the past, it just sucks to see Frontier applying that to something like this DLC. And to add insult to injury, it gives it absolutely no purpose whatsoever. I get it, people do this all the time as a way to get money, but I truly felt that Frontier was trying to do something with this DLC, and don't get me wrong, for the most part they've delivered on a lot of amazing things here, but when it comes to something like the Raptor pen, it leaves a lot to be desired. From what I've seen so far, it doesn't really do anything other than containing your raptors. And that's it. It's like a much downgraded version of the aviary, but at least you're able to view the pteranodons. But when it comes to the raptor pen, you just put raptors in and that's it. Other than that, it only really serves as a way to give your park that Jurassic Park aesthetic. And if we're being realistic here, who's really going to be using the pen for the purpose of containing raptors? I mean, it doesn't really make sense because it kind of contradicts the entire purpose of this game. Yes, this game is meant to be a managerial and park builder simulator, but at the end of the day, the real selling points are the visuals. People buy this game because they want to make amazing parks and put dinosaurs in them, so that they themselves can actually see them, and placing your dinosaurs in a place where you can't even properly view them defeats that entire purpose. Now, I know I've been talking a lot of shit about these two things, but don't get me wrong, they look really good. It just sucks how they don't really have a whole lot of purpose to them. But anyways, my tangent is done, let's move on to the next thing. Moving on to the other buildings, I actually really like them. The cool thing about this DLC is that it gives us a Jurassic Park variation of all the buildings that we've had prior to this DLC. We now have a Jurassic Park version of a hatchery, power station, tour, ranger stations, and so on. Obviously, to make this DLC realistic, they had to exclude some stuff that you wouldn't really see or expect in Jurassic Park, like the whole monorail system, the paleobotany greenhouse, viewing galleries, and so on. And aside from all these buildings, we now have bathrooms, which again have two variations, a Jurassic Park one and a Jurassic World one. And with the bathrooms comes a whole new section of management, as now we need to consider the guest's need for a bathroom in our park. And a lot of people outside of this community may laugh at this, but believe it or not, this is something that people have been wanting for the game for some time now, to give a more realistic sense of running a park, which if that's your primary focus, then these kinds of additions to the game is perfect for you. And of course we have the visitor center. And I already pointed out earlier how useful I think this building is, along with the fact that it looks amazing. I love the fact that it serves as an expedition, research, and fossil center and is conveniently put into one building. It serves an actual purpose and it's crucial to have it in your park. And it goes the same for the helipad, mainly because if your park is in the Jurassic Park era, that's the only way you're going to be able to get your park officially opened. The building itself looks simple but pretty well done, and the fact that you can place it anywhere in your park and marking that spot as your arrival point is great, whereas when it comes to the Jurassic World era, all of the arrival points are already set in a specific place that you have to work around whether you like it or not. And it's not like it's a big deal because it's not, but it's just really great to be able to place your arrival point anywhere you want. And lastly, we have the tour station, which is the equivalent of the gyrospheres and safari trucks in the Jurassic World era, except you can't take full control of it and drive around wherever you please, sadly. But at least the explorers themselves look amazing and well done. It's just nice to have them in the game and drive around your enclosures, even if the larger carnivores tend to give them a hard time. But other than the buildings, we have a bunch of new things in regards to the dinosaurs themselves, mainly the ones closely associated with Jurassic Park. I'm not going to go through every little detail these dinosaurs have undergone through this DLC because there's a lot, so instead I'll just go through each dinosaur one by one to tell you what I think of their new skins, animations, and redesigns. Let's start with the queen herself, the T-Rex. Now there's not a whole lot to complain when it comes to the T-Rex. She has great skins and an awesome new kill animation towards the Velociraptors, even if the raptors do look a bit stiff when it's happening. I guess my only complaint with the skins is the fact that the 2001 skin variation is red, even though the T-Rex in the Jurassic Park 3 movie was green. But it's not so much a complaint, but more so a correction, because honestly the red skin is still really cool to me. I just don't really know why it's labeled the 2001 skin. Anyways, moving on to the next dinosaurs, the Stegosaurus, Parasaurolophus, and Triceratops. Not too much to say here aside from the skins looking really nice for all three of these dinosaurs, and the fact that the Stego has a nice redesign to make it more accurate to the original franchise, meaning its tail is no longer slumped down towards the ground, which is a nice touch.
And along with those dinosaurs, we also have the Ankylosaurus, which the only memorable skin I can really see out of all of these is the Jurassic Park 3 skin. And you know, it's not because the other skins are bad necessarily, it's mainly just because the only one that really stands out is the original Jurassic Park 3 one. Aside from that, that's really the only new thing that the Ankylosaurus really has.
Next up, the Velociraptors, which deservingly got a nice amount of skins, including my personal favorite, the tiger skin, even if the pattern looks a bit faded, which is my only real complaint I have for it. The other skins look awesome, and their new kill animation towards compies is a nice change of animation, which goes more for all the small carnivores as a whole. And lastly, we have the Brachiosaurus, my favorite dinosaur both in general and in terms of the new skins it's gotten in this DLC. My personal favorite has to be the original Jurassic Park 3 skin, since it has more colors and patterns going for it. That's not to say the other skins are bad, because they're also really well done, even the other Jurassic Park 3 variations. No complaints here, I absolutely love it. Now let's move on to the new dinosaurs that we were given, aside from the Pteranodon, since I've pretty much said everything I've wanted to say about it. Just to sum it up, I really don't like the Pteranodon that much, I don't think it should be in the game, and the only good thing about it is its design. But one of the two newest creatures added to the game that I do like is a Compsognathus. The Compsognathus is not only a good addition because it was one of the more well-known dinosaurs in the Jurassic franchise, it's actually really cool to have in your park. They're able to live with literally anything other than small carnivores, of course. They don't hurt your guests even though they're still scared of them for some reason. They have unique animations, awesome skins, and they give the smaller carnivores new kill animations. Overall, I think they're awesome and have a lot more to offer than some of the other things in this DLC. And finally, let's go through all the smaller things this DLC has to offer, including the new redwood trees, new decorations, and the Jurassic Park styled fencing. I want to start off by saying the redwoods are one of the best things to have ever happened in this game. I absolutely love them, and ever since the DLC came out, I haven't made a single park without creating a redwoods area for my sauropods. It gives us as players yet another ecosystem to play around with so we could create a beautiful environment for our dinosaurs, and the fact that we have multiple sizes and variations of these redwoods is the cherry on top. I know I'm making a big deal about something that may not seem that big, but it's little details like this that go a long way. And speaking of that, we now have signs in the game. A few meant for specific dinosaurs like Dilophosaurus and Tyrannosaurs, and the rest being generalized based on the types of dinosaurs, which is cool because that way we can put signs for each enclosure. And we can't forget the new light decoration, which is another great thing added to this game. Not only is it a good decoration, but you can also use it as an alternative for enclosing your dinosaurs in a certain area. You heard me right, the lights can literally be used as fencing. It's actually really cool, even if it's a tedious and long process to complete. And speaking of fencing, we have new fences in a more Jurassic Park style, especially the heavy fence since it's obviously the same fencing as the one the Spinosaurus broke through in Jurassic Park 3. All of these things are really nice and convenient additions to the game, even if, again, they don't seem like a big deal. And there you have it, a rundown of most, if not all of the things that we got in this DLC. Now the question is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. I've been told before that this whole thing feels like one giant skin pack, which I can kinda agree with, but when you consider all the good things this DLC has to offer, it outweighs all the bad things, at least in my opinion. At the end of the day, you're given a chance to make your park Jurassic Park and not Jurassic World, which is something that many have wanted in this game for a long time, and I guarantee you once you've started this Jurassic Park era, you won't want to go back to Jurassic World. With a unique narrative voiced by the original characters, an awesome new dinosaur, tons of great skins, the addition of the original buildings and Fort Explorer, and new decorations, I'd say this DLC is the best one we've gotten so far and is definitely worth your time. Hey guys, if you made it this far into the video, first off, thank you very much. Second off, I hope you enjoyed this little review of Return to Jurassic Park. I honestly really did like this DLC, even though there were some issues with it. But at the end of the day, I kinda liked it, and I do think it's worth your time. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, if you want, you can follow me on my social media and join my Discord. All of those will be linked in the description down below. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please, have a nice day.